My goodness, my first interview ever.
Mine too.
Oh my God.
All right. Drink this.
It's your house. Do whatever the hell you want.
These things make me nervous. Check.
It is. Listen, I think you mentioned it before too. This still involves like work preparation, even the fun stuff, even the funnest of shoots. Involve work and dedication and adrenaline. So
Yeah, I mean, but also it's like there's everything else I can set up.
Mm-hmm.
What happens after? It's usually pretty fun, so I'm not really concerned. But it's always still, every episode is new. All right, I'm gonna start with a couple of seconds of intro, then we're gonna.
Sounds good, man. I'm just along for the ride.
3, 2, and. Look at that new intro. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode number 7 of the Fun Shoot Podcast. I am Jong Clemente. I'm a hobbyist photographer that occasionally tries to ramble on recordings so that I can bring new and interesting people's stories to life. Today, we're going to do something different for the podcast. This is my first ever blind date interview. For those who have been following the podcast, on episode 5, I had my wonderful friend, amazing actress, Beck Fordyce, and then she said, like, I have a cool friend. She's super artistic, fun actress. You should talk to her. Like, she'd be down. It's like, you know what? Part of the mission statement of this podcast is to prove that anybody that has a passion has that voice that needs to be listened to, that needs to be shared to everyone. So this is one of those times that we're going to prove that concept. In front of me is the wonderful Miss Heather Gilbert.
Hey.
Bah, 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 bah.
Oh my gosh, hi.
Right, we're going to turn the bed down a little bit. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Transition. All right. So,
beautiful fade.
I know, professional, right?
So professional.
So, Miss Heather Gilbert.
That's me. Hi.
I'm going to run down a couple of snippets from your bio, from whatever small online presence that I was able to stock from you.
Okay.
But the idea is like we don't know each other.
We don't. We met 20 minutes ago.
We met 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Gave you a glass of water.
It's lovely, and the pink straw is a nice touch.
100%. I introduced you to my cat, and that's about it.
Whiskey is my new favorite person
You
ever.
know what? I'm kind of jealous because this is my apartment. I kind of pay the bills, but whiskey gets all this stuff. Okay,
she's the queen, and
She's
you know
cute.
that.
She's cute. I'm gonna read a little bit of your bio.
Okay.
And then we're just gonna riff from there.
Let's go.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
You are an actor,
I am. Yeah.
a singer,
Yes.
a nerd. Come on, everybody should be a nerd at something.
Yeah, but I'm.
We're gonna dive into it, but
Absolutely.
another cool thing here is a puppeteer.
I am a
Oh,
puppeteer.
we're gonna spend a lot of time in that. So,
I love it.
Miss Heather Gilbert's TV and film credits include appearance in a SyFy original movie, the classic, critically acclaimed Lave Placid versus Anaconda. Also, sirens are on our end. Also in an HBO original series, small series, might have heard of it. Boardwalk Empire, and a regular at the HB Studios Playwrights Theatre and the Galli Theatre. You are also or have participated in the New York Fringe Festival with those acting accolades, and in the professional puppeteering end, you've graced the New World stages and the New York Musical Theater Festival, NYMF,
also known as Nymph.
NYMF.
Yeah.
Dude,
exactly.
I kind of realized that that's why it was drawing me.
Yeah, right.
I'm a nymph too.
It's a little sexy.
But awesome. So that's the bio that you have on record, on documents online.
On my terrible homemade website, but I I did the best I could on the artist budget that I have. Thank you.
So beyond all the words, this is the letter. Let's go within the spirit of the letter. Who is Heather Gilbert?
My goodness, Heather Elizabeth Gilbert, that's me, is a girl from Orlando who moved to New York, who has dreams of Broadway. dreams, I tell you. And as life happens, as it so often does, I think it was John Lennon who said, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. I'm very lucky that I still act and sing and puppeteer. The way that that's worked out in the city, though, has been this incredible journey that I couldn't have even dreamed about while I was singing to my hairbrush in my bedroom in Florida. So,
it stands to be mentioned that every person has dreams or have dreams. Not a lot get the opportunity to live them, but even the people that do try it or may not be at the level that they want to be, not a lot of people pursue it. I wanted to be my ultimate dream before when I was younger was to be an NBA player. I wanted to be a professional basketball player, but I do not have the genes for that. So,
are you wearing jeans today? I can't tell.
My sweats, yeah. I'm not 6'10". I'm only just like 6'6". So
it helps.
It helps up here. But yeah, that's my dream. I never really got to pursue it. But you from Orlando.
I am, yeah.
Went to New York. Doing your thing.
Doing my thing.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm still here, man. Like, I didn't quit and go home.
And how long has it been?
Oh, should I say that?
How long have you been in New York?
I don't care. People make such a big deal about age in this industry, and I equate it with experience. So wouldn't you rather work with someone who has experience? She said snobbily.
I'm not rating your own stuff. I just don't.
Oh my gosh. I always have that little critic in the back of my head. But I moved here actually this year on July 3rd. The day before my birthday.
Wait, your birthday is the 4th?
It is.
That's kind of...
Yeah.
It's either everybody has a party for you or no one has a party
That's
for you.
That's exactly how it goes every year.
Kind of
There's
like it.
either always like a huge bash of party and this is what we're doing for the 4th of July, or sorry, I can't.
Or pick your friend's biggest, whoever has the biggest July 4th bash and say, yeah, this is my party.
Pretty much. And it's always a wild collection of people. But, oh my gosh, I forgot what I was talking about. But July 3rd of this year will be my 10th anniversary in New York.
Same.
Isn't that crazy?
I've been in New York for a decade.
A decade. In May.
Time flew by.
Where did it go? I don't know, but we're still here.
You're probably my landlord's pocket. That's where my 10 years went.
Oh, just got real.
But all right, so before we dive into more of the podcast, a little housekeeping.
Yes.
You can listen to this podcast most Wednesdays, mornings of Eastern Standard Time. Just visit the podcast website, jongclemente.com/funshoot. See, I can't even say my own name. Please follow the Twitter pod and the pod Instagram at Funshoot Podcast. You can also send comments and questions at funshootpodcast@gmail.com. If you have topics, follow-up questions to all of our guests, I read through every single one of them. And if you want to participate, and if you want to hear yourself on the show, you can leave a voicemail at 347-934-9594. You could also watch most of the episodes if you can, like if you want to pretend that you're working in the office.
Yeah.
And YouTube is not blocked from your network,
right?
You can put in one of the screens. You just search Funshoot Podcast on YouTube. You can see all the animations that people do. Plus, this is mostly related to photography, so we have some images there. If you want to see the images in real time, just pop it on there. But if you don't, any of your podcasting services that you like, wherever you download your podcasts, click the description. All of the images that we talk about, we interact with, just click on the thing, it'll pop up.
Yeah, and what you guys can't see is that he's wearing a Bob Ross t-shirt. So if you're only listening on a podcast, you're missing half the picture.
Yeah, Dr. Bob Ross.
Paint a
PhD.
happy cloud.
Yeah, there's no mistakes, just
mistakes.
happy little accidents. It's kind of like the motto of my life.
That's beautiful.
Right? One big, giant, happy little accident.
We need more happy little accidents. I had a thought and it didn't go where I thought it was going, and then I kept talking, pretending like I'd fix the problem, and it just didn't happen.
We usually, it's the first segment of the podcast is what I call the backdrop. Again, I'm a hobbyist photographer. That is my passion.
You're a fantastic photographer.
I press a button. I keep on telling people I appreciate all the appreciation, but my special skill in photography is just getting lucky with the subjects that I get. If they're that gorgeous, you just literally press a button and get out of the way.
Hey,
that's my thing.
Whatever works, man. Yeah. It's working for you.
And
Keep on.
Thank you very much. And the backdrop, we set the scene. So this is where we kind of like set the studio around, mix the exposure of the lights, move furniture, prep. So this is where I want to set the Heather Gilbert backdrop. All right.
Okay.
So to start,
yes,
we know a little bit of who you are, where you're from. Orlando, what? Shut up.
O-Town.
It's still one of the best boy bands ever manufactured by MTV.
Absolutely.
What is the day job and the night job?
Oh my goodness. So my day and night job is the same, and it's a little unusual from my understanding of what most of my friends do. I know our mutual Beck is a makeup artist, and I have a lot of friends who stay within the industry as part of their day and or night job. For me, I teach English as a second language. Yeah.
Well, English is my second language, so.
There you go. Well, you're doing great. So, and I didn't mean that to sound condescending, because that sounded awful, and that's not what I meant. But yeah, I work at a CUNY school. I won't say which one, just because I'm sure this is no secret, immigration in this country is a dicey area, and 100%. I refuse to put any of my students in even the slightest amount of jeopardy. But I work for the CUNY system, and I also work for a private company that specifically works in the food industry and goes on site to restaurants, hotels, and warehouses to teach employees workplace-based English for their job.
See, that is amazing because one, we don't know each other, and I've always had an affinity for any form of educator, be it teacher in front of a class. I come from the Philippines, and a big portion of our business processing outsourced workforce does a lot of the online teaching or online ESL stuff too. So that's pretty amazing. But I never knew that there are organizations or companies that teaches their employees proper communication, because that is very important. That's actually really good, just for them to survive the day-to-day job, but also the off chance that they communicate with customers, because customer experience is very important,
especially in the restaurant industry. My goodness, I had a student recently. I'm incredibly proud of him. He was a runner, which is a completely thankless job in the restaurant industry. And now he's a bartender. And that means his income has tripled, and that's money for himself. That's money for his family. And that's a direct correlation to how well he speaks English.
100%, because bartending you're basically some drunk psychologist. So
exactly.
So you
gotta understand what everybody's telling you,
and you want to communicate whatever you want back. But also, I spent many a times talking to bartenders in my life.
Well, frankly, they're cheaper than psychologists, so
I think way more effective, way more fun.
Yeah.
But again, to each his own. Please, mental health, very important.
Oh my God, please take care of your mental health.
Yeah,
responsibly.
Yeah, you have a psychologist. We're 2019 now. It's not a taboo. It's not something to be ashamed about. All of your issues need to be tackled by a professional. But again, you have professionals in any walks of life. You can have a professional bartender talk to you.
You sure can.
With an old fashioned, or probably a very tasty IPA.
I usually get some kind of incredibly girly, fancy cocktail where I can't taste the alcohol until like 2 hours later, where suddenly, I'm on the floor.
But also that's worse because there's so much sugar.
I know.
And that's what gives you the
That's what gives me the little both too.
But again, drink, eat what makes you happy responsibly.
Yeah. For any of my teenage cousins that might be watching this.
Responsibly.
Do as I say, not as I do.
No, go bonkers. Go. Oh, no.
Wait, what?
All right, so you're an English teacher.
I am.
You have a list of other passions and other performance background.
Yeah.
So let's tackle them bit by bit slightly.
Okay.
Let's start with the acting because that's just, obvious.
Yeah.
How did little Heather Elizabeth in O-Town get to where she is right now, auditioning, getting rejected, auditioning, getting the job?
Thank you for saying that.
Auditioning, getting this.
Rejection is absolutely step 2 in whatever process you go through.
The reason why I talk to so many artists and performers in this podcast and in life is because I love so many things that y'all do. I love live performance. Awesome. It's enriching. It's mind-blowing, mind-expanding. If it sucks, it's a great joke. I love comedy. I love, of course, I love modeling. I like pretty things. But I'm intimately knowledgeable about it's probably 80 to 90% rejections rather than successes.
Oh, yeah.
I can't handle that. If I walk up to somebody, ask them out for a date, and they reject me, I probably cower in my bed for 2 weeks. So tell me about that process in which you're a little girl, you found that dream, sirens are on our end, and then...
It's New York, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and then you get here.
Yeah. My goodness. I have to say my journey started pretty early. I've known very clearly, freakishly so, that pretty much age of 7 to this day, I'm going to be an actor.
Dope.
Boom.
Dope.
I knew it. My entire life choices from then till now have been based on that. And I sometimes regret it, if I'm going to be honest, but it is absolutely the through line that has guided my entire life.
What was that moment when you realized that you were not going to be an actor, but you are?
That's a great question. I'm sorry to leave such an awkward pause.
Pregnant pause. You know what? Hey, it's part of an oral experience. You need those silences.
Absolutely. I think I have always been an actor. I knew I was a professional actor and that I could get paid for it when I was 14 because I had I wasn't even expecting to talk about this. This is so funny. Unbeknownst to my parents, I sent in a demo CD back in the day, before MP3s, to Cirque du Soleil because they were casting for a show called Kidam that needed a girl who was under 5'4" at the time who could sing classical soprano. And I thought, okay, why not? Let me send something in. And I did, and they responded. And they flew me and my mama out to New York and had me go to a recording studio and sing through the songs, like 4 of these songs. And it got down between me. I can't confirm or deny this, but I think one of the other 2 girls was Leah Michelle and the girl that they eventually went with. And Leah Michelle didn't get it and I didn't get it. But that's when I kind of was like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
You recorded something, I'm assuming, on your personal laptop or personal computer. You went to the studio.
No, my God. It was, oh my God. See, now I'm trying to remember it because I had a tape recorder that I would take to my voice lessons.
And they just had to put it in a CD.
And then they put it on a CD somehow, like through, I don't know.
I can't believe that that's lo-fi now, but back in the day, I remember
what we had to do.
That was high tech.
Yeah.
Wow. At
was
14.
like going to a store.
Wait, how'd you find out about the audition?
It was online.
It's just like, wait, you just trolled Circus du Soleil's casting website?
Yeah.
Dope.
That's the kind of weirdo that I was even then. I was like, I don't know, why not? I love Cirque du Soleil. I love performing. Oh my gosh, they're looking for someone who's, at the time I was like right at 5'4". I'm like 5'4", 14. Hello, that's me. Sorry. But I did my demo by singing like fake opera crap, and then they liked it. So
that is amazing. So
yeah.
I mean, one, what I hear is if you find something, if there's an open call, a casting on Audition out there, just fucking try. Just
try it. You don't know. You know what? You know, we were just talking about your dreams with basketball.
100%.
But my dad has the saying, and I'm sure he stole it from someone much more famous, but I love you, Daddy. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I always thought that was from Michael Jordan. But apparently Michael Jordan stole it from Wayne Gretzky.
Okay. Well,
it's still sports.
It's still sports. And that's fine.
That's fine.
Because the metaphor is perfect. It's
100%.
true. If you're just holding the ball, nothing's going to happen.
But that was 14. So did you see or hear something when you were younger? Did your parents turn you on to something that made you
my
like,
grandmother.
That's always those them old people and their grandkids.
I love Grandma Dotsy.
Mm-hmm.
I love.
Shout out.
No more.
No more.
Well, shout out.
No, shout out even more.
You're right.
She is right now behind you.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding.
Grandma.
Stop, GD. So what did you and Grandma Dotsy like do when you were younger?
Grandma Dotsy played, and this is going to sound super cheesy, and I've just learned like this is my truth and it's fine. My grandmother loved Andrew Lloyd Webber, and she would play like those compilation CDs with Cats and Evita and Phantom of the Opera and Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I forget the breadth of the catalog of work that he has done.
I mean, it's truly astonishing, right? And, you know, a lot of people say, well, he stole from a lot of things. He was a pop writer. He got really lucky. He doesn't belong here. Blah, 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 blah. You know what? At 7, it was my favorite thing in the world. And I was like, I'm going to be on Broadway and sing all of these shows.
Little Orlando girl. It's funny that we're what 17, 18 minutes into the podcast and we still have not talked about Disneyland or Disney World.
Whoa.
Sorry, I'm going to Disneyland this weekend. All right, I have my Disneyland
Listeners,
tickets.
Hold on. There's a very easy way to remember that Disney World is in Orlando. It's because ORL is in the word world.
Yeah.
And land has LA. And that's my English teacher brain.
But I knew that. I
know. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, I just like, I'm very excited to experience.
They are super different.
The Galaxy Edge opening.
I am jealous.
We have the Airbnb ready. All of my buddies are set. All their kids are coming. We keep pretending it's for the kids, but fuck them kids. They're going to stay with their moms and we're going to ride all the rides.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, being in Orlando, that's kind of, is it still true that people that are washed end up doing those things? But I always felt that being those mascots, or not mascots, I'm sorry, but like those like live actors that pretend, they go through rigorous training.
They do. I have to be honest, I was never a character. I never was. I definitely have literally dozens of friends who have been. It is a very rigorous process for very little pay in very hot weather, and you do it because you love it.
I mean,
you do it because you love it.
But also, I know it's fucking cheesy, but there's still the joy that you see in kids' eyes,
even in adults' eyes. I mean, as you were saying, like the wonder of youth and childhood comes back into people's eyes.
100%.
I even got that. I did work at Disney, but I was the person who said, "Do you want fries with that?" at Pecos Bill when you left the Country Bear Jamboree. I worked in fast food, and I do not regret it.
If I were that kid, I'd be like, "Homie, of course I want fries with that."
I got to tell you, it was fun though, because even in that very basic job, I still found a way to like bring what we call in the Disney world a magical moment, because I kind of figured out when the receipt machine was timed to come out because it had a little bit of a delay.
Uh-huh.
So especially if there was a kid, I'd kind of look over at the kid and be like, hey, watch this. And we'd wait and we'd pause. And I'd do like, diddle, 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 diddle. And you can't, if you're listening, you can't see it, but I'd make like this cute little wavy hand motion. It was like, pixie dust. Look, the receipt came out. It would blow these children.
I was going to say, it's like, they were like, lady, it's a receipt machine. Is it way hot in there?
Well, you got to know your audience. I did it with the smallest of children.
So I mean, okay, so we have a little bit of background with your acting stuff.
Yeah.
So what is it? I always like asking this to my performer friends, but what is a dream role? If you're a Make-A-Wish kid and then you're gonna have one wish,
Make-A-Wish, bringing it back to Disney.
100%. You can actualize one role for acting in particular. What would you pick?
I have a very clear answer for this. I want to originate a compelling character that is 110% mine. What do I mean by that? Yes, I have like dream musical theater roles, and yes, I would love to play certain historical people and famous literary characters as well. But I want to be a Heather Gilbert original, and that you know me for this part.
I mean, I know real artists will always answer, I'd rather be the first me than the best somebody else.
Yeah. And it's funny, I just saw a few months ago with Beck, the movie Fighting with My Family.
Paige.
Yeah. And in the trailer even, that's what The Rock tells Baby Paige.
100%. I saw it because The Rock is there, and he's just...
I saw it because of Stephen Merchant. I love him. He's great.
He had like 6 lines, but he was a really good
He
dad.
was the writer and the director.
He was? Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's why he was so
and
good.
Producer.
All right.
He wrote the script and met up with her family and saw the documentary of her and her family, and The Rock.
It's a very fascinating family,
It
too.
is, right?
I mean, that's, the other thing, that's why I do these sorts of stupid projects, is because
it's not stupid.
People
No.
spend so much time, effort, and themselves in the things that they love. And I know every single person loves something else, something different. And I love that particular movie because this is a family that was able to find redemption in something so different. And yeah, there's a lot, I like the idea that the older brother teaches a blind kid or teaches kids after, basically an after school. Yeah, I like all those. There's 5,000 stories of that.
Exactly.
But the idea of, I have a passion. I don't do it for charity. I mean, all my form of charity is like making sure that my friends and the people that they think that I should be helping out helps. But I could do more. But these are the things where we need to put everybody's passion out there because they're spending their lives doing this. You're spending your life doing this. And, I'm pretty sure that it's, mostly sucky rather than great. Because that's art.
Rejection is step 2.
Art is pain.
Yeah. And I think what else I really loved about that movie is that it focused on Paige and her brother. And I loved what she said to her brother, that just because I'm going to butcher this because I don't remember the exact line, but just because you're not performing in front of 1 million people doesn't mean that the work that you're doing isn't
100%. 100%. There are no small roles.
There aren't. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like shaking because I just like got the spirit within
there you go. Yeah, but I mean that's great. And
or I just need water. Hold on. Sorry,
you are an actor, and that's amazing to be able to be that little Heather Elizabeth in Orlando, traverse all the challenges of the city of New York, of life, and then still do the thing that you dreamt about, right? My other question is,
okay,
how do you prepare? So what is if you are gunning for a role or if you already have a role, what is your method of making sure that you put out the best possible Heather Gilbert performance that you can get?
It's 2 separate questions, only because when you're gunning for a role, it's a different process than when you have the role.
Okay, interesting.
When you're gunning for the role, I think about the first impression, because that's essentially what it is. It is a job interview in very unusual circumstances, because I don't know any other job offhand, at least outside of the arts, where you are expected to say what other people write and pretend that you're saying it, and talk to someone who is looking at a piece of paper who may or may not be interested in what it is that you have to say in front of, depending on the audition room, I mean, sometimes it's one person and sometimes it's 20 who all have very strong opinions, different motivations for why they like you or why they don't. And sometimes it could come down to her hair is too short. And then what do you do?
Yeah.
Nothing. So how I prepare is I try to make myself feel as comfortable as possible. And sometimes to the chagrin of friends that very often, let me backtrack, very often in this industry, when you go out on auditions, you run into friends at these auditions and you're also prepping.
It's a small community.
It is a small community. And what I have to do, especially in like big open calls, even if I see friends, I'll go up and say, hi, it's so good to see you, but I'm going to go off to this corner. I took English classes. Go off to this corner, put on my headphones, and I will either listen to like some very soothing meditation music to try to focus and pretend that I'm not in a room with literally 200 thirsty, hungry, desperate women, which is a scary. Dude. Listen, they're out for blood. It is Mean Girls.
I was going to say, like, you say scary, I say like,
No, well, if they were after you, that's a different situation.
Very different situation.
They want they have a completely different motivation when it comes to me. But really, it's just about, okay, focus, stay present, think only about the character, and when you go into the audition room, act like a human. And the people who are on the other side of the table want you to be the best person, or they've already cast it and they just have to get through the day. And in both of those situations, it's really not about you personally. Go in, do your work, look your best, feel your best, and at least when you leave, you can say, I did everything I was supposed to do. Anything else is in the hands of God.
Do you like have a special meal, stretch the night before?
I have to eat because if I don't eat, that's when I get like shaky hands and I'm like, and then I look like a crazy person, and no one wants to work with a crazy person.
Unless the role calls for a crazy person.
No. They want to make sure that you have the mental sanity to finish the project. They want a sane person to play a crazy person, I assure you, unless they're a wildly bankable star and have enough money to deal with that shit.
100%.
Now, when I get a role, got it, yay. Then the real work begins. Then for me, it's important to get off book memorized as quickly as humanly possible, because you need to be able to have those words be internalized and come out of your mouth as if you are saying it for the first time for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And it's also about getting the work, unless you're doing a one-person show, but that would be something that I would write and not something I'd auditioned for, probably. The work is about how you interact with your partner, because the best acting for me is going back to sports. It's like a tennis match. You toss someone the ball, they toss it back. You toss someone the ball, you toss it back. It's about being a good and supportive partner to tell the story that you are assigned to tell.
Okay. And I think that's applicable to any form of interaction. Anywhere, because when you mentioned that, like, if auditioning is saying somebody else's word, it's highly specific to auditioning, saying somebody else's word as your own, it happens. Like, even I work in the corporate world. And if I'm interviewing for a job or a project that I want to lead, if I am pitching something to somebody else for buy-in and stuff like that, it's the same thing. I am internalizing hundreds of people's work, trying to distill it into a package that 4, 5, 6 people will understand, and making sure that it's both true, doable by me, replicatable. So I think learning about people's artistic process is important because that is, I think, the highest form of process because it's highly subjective.
Right.
Some like me being in the corporate world, yes, there is a subjective component to it, but in the end, whoever pitches the best, most sustainable project or process or thing
that makes the client
it
happiest.
makes it's like that. It's a little clear cut. Like who has the best, strongest idea with these tools will probably go with you. But there's a components like maybe it's I'd rather work with you with somebody else, or maybe I could take you, put it to the other team, so make sure. So there are things like that, but still, it's more you have to work with people,
right? And
you have to not only be supportive of their craft, but they have to amplify your work. So hopefully, it's this righteous cycle where it's like, oh, you throw me a line. And I just hit you back with my line at the correct moment so that their reaction will be not only on point, but maybe even more natural that was written on paper.
Right.
So that is cool. See, I know things.
You do know things.
But before, we're getting to know a lot of your artistic process and your actor environment.
I suppose if we do the too long didn't read thing,
TLDR.
That's it. I forgot is it an acronym? It is. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Failing as an English teacher today. But the too long didn't read would be professional, do good work. That's it.
100%. Prepare. That might what I'm going to highlight from there is like, you mentioned something that people don't really hear when they are interviewed by the actor studio and stuff like method. No, memorize your fucking lines.
Seriously, and be supportive of your partner because I can't tell you how many times that I have come to do the work and my partner doesn't, and then everybody suffers.
100%.
And it's not to call anybody out, but it's like if you are first of all, our job as actors is to tell stories. And you usually need more than one perspective to get the truest version of that story. That's why plays have multiple people. So if you're doing a disservice to everybody by not doing the work you were assigned to do, then you're doing a disservice to yourself 100%. As well.
And the other thing too is there are no small roles.
No.
And I think the hardest thing for artists to do is to cage or moderate the ego. Because I'm pretty sure you've been in situations where you are in a play, in a commercial, in a TV show, and you look like, I could do that better.
Oh, everybody does. That's human nature. I think of... Oh my gosh, I think her real name is Stephanie Courtney, but she's the progressive girl.
Oh, she is an amazing comedian.
I love her. She's fantastic.
I might have like a different episode just for her because
you should.
I've read about how amazing she is in not only acting. She has bit roles in she'll always show up in a long time series because she's just that great of an actor. Good. But she's also fucking hilarious.
And I think she was also in one of Christopher Guest's movies as well, the one about the Oscar buzz. But the reason that I bring her up is I think type-wise we're very similar. But again, she has more experience. She lives in Los Angeles where they make the commercials. Like, I can be like, I could do her part and be jealous, or I can be like, wow, let me watch and learn from this person who's cracked the code. Like, that's really the mindset that you have to have. It's a paradigm shift because you're literally wasting energy if you're jealous of people. Like, take that energy and see how you can make it productive, try to learn from it, and what is it that's working, right? Take that.
Before we move on to other segments, I wanted to close this segment with, we're talking about your acting, but a big part of your bio says puppeteer.
It does. Oh, I'm so glad we're going to talk about this.
Now, this is your chance. How does one get into puppeteering?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I might get emotional again. So if my hands start shaking, this is the thing. And I want to preface this by saying today's date is May 25th, 2019.
This episode will be second week of June. Second week of July.
But we're recording this the day before Avenue Q is closing.
You were at New World Stages, right?
I was at New World Stages, but before that, when I was a teeny bopper, I fell in love with the show Avenue Q right when it first opened. I love that show. And we were talking before about me being a nerd. This is me being a super nerd, so I'm going to hug my knees and try to protect myself. I was such a nerd for that show specifically that I drew pictures of the puppets and from Florida mailed them to the stage door.
Wait, did you watch it here and then come back to Florida and then drew it and send it back? Okay,
yes,
cool.
Because I was up in New York when I finally did see it. I think I had the CD again, maybe like a few months before I actually was able to see it. But I was up in New York doing the Macy's parade with Camp Broadway. And I was dancing in the parade for that specific organization, which is super fun. Go check them out. But I drew these pictures and I sent them to the stage door. And Rick Lyon, who was the he was Nicky Trekkie in the original cast, but he also designed all of the puppets and built all of the puppets, emailed me back. Aww. And then I went to go see the show again. And Rick took me backstage.
That's amazing.
It gets even better because he takes me backstage. I see all the puppets in person. I get to ask all my nerd questions about puppetry, like, to him. Then he walks me onto the Broadway stage, and I'm like, stunned silence. That's still not the part that gets me. This is the part that gets me. He takes me to both dressing rooms, and my pictures are taped to the mirrors.
Oh. God damn it.
I know, right? And what was really funny is the 15th anniversary was last year, and I've still stayed in touch with Rick. And I was platonically, I was his date to the 15th anniversary show. And he's kind of like reintroducing me to some former cast members. And Carmen Ruby Floyd is there, and she goes, wait, this is 15 years later. She goes, wait, Heather, the one who drew the pictures?
Aw.
Like 15 years later, right? So that was really
my mom doesn't even know what I did 15 years ago.
I know. And I'm just she's like, that was my first fan art I ever got. I still have it.
That's amazing.
Right? I know. Anyway, so what got me actually working into puppetry instead of just being a fan is Johnny Tartaglia, who was the original Princeton Rod in Avenue Q. He had a workshop. And I remember my mom's actually the one who found out about this workshop. And I have to be honest, it was at the time a little expensive for me. But my mom found it. She's like, honey, I will pay for you to take this workshop if you want to take it. And I remember saying, Mom, I'm in my 20s. I was a teenager, which wasn't that long ago. But I was concerned, like, he's going to know me as the fangirl. I don't want this to be weird. And she said, and I'm never going to forget this. So she's like, honey, if you don't take that class, you are going to regret it for the rest of your life. Well, I took the class, and then Johnny gave me a scholarship to take the next class, and then Johnny cast me in his show off-Broadway, Imagination at New World Stages.
You know what? We cannot... All right, here's the thing. Shout out to friends and family that support their loved ones,
right?
No matter their loved ones' dreams. If you have somebody, if you have a friend, if you have a family member, if you have a son, daughter, if you have a sister, brother... Even your parents, if you know their dream and you can have a little part on making it happen, shout out to the parents.
Right?
God damn, that's a good mom.
Absolutely.
Shout out, Mom.
Listen, my parents could have been like, Heather, don't go to school for acting. That's stupid. They absolutely could have said that. Or they're like, well, you can sing on your own time, but get your law degree. And my parents instead were like, no, baby, if that's your dream, go do your dream. I realize how lucky I am now when I have friends who have moved here and have not had that experience, who have had parents who don't get it at best or flat out don't support them, forget financially, emotionally don't support them in their choices.
Again, it's everybody. I understand why some parents or family members or guardians think that some lofty dreams are not practical and sustainable. I will 100% say it's not ill-hearted. They're not saying it because they want to squash your dreams.
Right.
It's totally the opposite. They want you to be comfortable. They want you to have a decent life. An artist's, a performer's life is not fun. It's not lucrative. It's not easy. That's why there's a lot of mental problems.
I don't always eat 3 meals a day. 100%. Sorry, mommy, for admitting that.
But that's, and they're not doing it for ill intentions most of the time. And I know we hear stories about people saying like, don't do this, don't do that. But as a parent, you will love your offspring generally. Mm-hmm. And it's not even about don't do X, Y, and Z. It's maybe, I think what is harder is when they say, oh, I will support you doing that, but just don't make that your thing. And, I'm like that. And I'm not saying that my parents squashed my dreams. I have the best parents in the world. Yeah. They never stopped me doing anything, but they're the traditional, oh, you love photography? Great. We'll help you buy all the cameras. We'll buy you the cameras. We'll feed your stuff, whatever. Yeah. But just make sure you do that in the weekends because you're working in a bank. Right. So you can't just like take time off to shoot some stupid, naked lady. It's like, so that's kind of what everybody's dealing with. And that's why we need to celebrate those friends and family members, especially parents that will go like, no. You take that fucking puppeteering job. That's
Shout
dumb.
out Ed and Connie. I love you guys. Seriously.
So you took the class, mm-hmm. You got scholarship to the next class.
Yeah.
And you got...
It turned out I had a knack for it. I wasn't just like a complete weirdo. I'm actually like moderately talented at lip sync.
But luckily also you have all that performance in you built in. So that's always there.
Exactly.
Specifically for puppeteering, what are the kind of dexterous skills that you need to practice to be good at live action puppeteering?
So... It's going to be a little difficult to explain through podcasting, but I'll try to point this out. Stick your dominant hand in the air.
Yeah.
All the way up.
Yep.
And very basically, take your thumb and your middle finger and try to
make it talk.
Mouth every syllable.
Every syllable.
Now do that for 6 hours.
That's about it.
Well, you say that, but... As far as physicality goes, that is what is required of you to do television puppetry. It can be very physically demanding. I have had some wrist injuries is a strong term. Fatigue. Mm-hmm. I know that one of the guys who plays, well, how do I put this? Because Kevin Clash isn't Elmo anymore. Ryan Dillon, who plays Elmo, has had carpal tunnel issues. Yeah. It's a very and like tennis elbow. And like shoulder problems.
If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to wear that out.
And with one hand, mm-hmm. Usually, you're not usually.
So what do you do with your left? Do you do the
so with
the non-dominant hand? Do you do the hands? Or
yes.
Okay.
So oh my goodness, hold on. Maybe this will work. Okay, so
this is why you need to go to YouTube, search Fun Shoot Podcast, or go to bit.ly/FunShootTV so you can see how people mount their fucking mics when we're in the podcast.
It's in between my legs. There's nothing classy about this. So you have this arm. I'll pull it down just so it's within the camera. We'll do the Avenue Q style.
Dominant arm. Have you working the head and the mouth?
Head and mouth. Yep.
Cool.
Head and mouth. Oh, I should have brought my. I have peepers, like a little ring that has little eyes, but I didn't bring it today.
The non-dominant hand working
with the rods, usually working the
one or both. Both arms. Cool.
Kind of like chopstick style.
Okay.
If you're really advanced, you can get what I call the Fraggle Rock clap. You know the song from Fraggle Rock? Oh, this might be a copyright infringement, but the theme song from Fraggle Rock involves clapping. So it's kind of
you're closing the chopsticks.
You're closing the chopsticks to work the arms to get those hands to clap while you're also talking and trying to make eye contact meaningful.
Oh, because
like
you have to.
Person.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And just give me a dollar amount how much these puppets cost. Because like people think like, oh, it's a fucking puppet. No, those are. I'm assuming if you're at that level, the Sesame Street puppets are not like $50.
That sounds like the porn version,
dude.
Sesame Street. Oh, Big Bird.
Volume 2.
Snuffleupagus.
I will snuff your lupagus.
Oh, that was good.
I'm only a grouch if I don't get boned by Big Bird. Wait, is that correct? No.
Is it? Well.
Well, you know what? 2019. There's no whatever.
Bert and Ernie living together
Come on.
Forever. Good on them.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. Guys. It's really fine.
They are the first same-sex partners that, are no longer in the honeymoon stage.
And Bert can say he loves that pigeon more, but we all know the truth. Please. How much the puppets cost? Well, that's a complicated question because most puppeteers at this, I hesitate, at my level.
Let's say off at Broadway level.
You're making them. You're making them yourselves. That's kind of part of the craft. That's part of the art.
Oh, that I did not know. I thought that you had like a team that was like, yo, Heather.
You do if you work for Sesame Street or Muppet Studios, of course. Then you have the best people.
But if you made your own puppet,
you make your own puppets.
See, I'm learning.
Or you pay your much more talented friends, and I do mean friends, to pay. You pay your much more talented friends to make better ones for you, or to workshop them for you. And I do want to say this on record. Please pay your artist friends, even if you are an artist. Pay them what they are worth.
I am worth a bottle of Bullet bourbon.
But that's your terms, and that should be exactly what it is. I feel very, very strongly because even on Instagram, sometimes you get people who are like, hey, will you do this film for me for free, Heather? I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't. One, I'm union, so I legally can't.
Mm-hmm.
And two, like, it's just the respectful thing to do. I didn't get my BFA and pay for Johnny's class and pay for thousands, respectfully, dozens of other classes to do things for free at this level.
I mean, it's not because we're trying to not do it or we're being snobbish about it, but we want to do a good job.
And also, like you said, landlord, 10 years. Still got to pay rent. It's funny. The longer you stay, the rent goes higher. What?
Is there no loyalty cards available for rent in New York?
Where's that little punch bit for the coffee? Like, I don't even get that.
You know what? Fucking Blasio, work on it. Bloomberg, whoever the fucking new mayor is, but yeah.
We'll find out soon.
Get on it. So they're part of the class of making your own puppetry?
Part of the art of puppetry is that you're also a builder.
That is, see, that's the thing. As anybody who probably is listening right now, they know that most of my friends are burlesque performers.
Mm-hmm.
And to my non-burlesque initiated friends, they always just thought like, oh, it's just like stripping. No.
Oh, no.
No. It's yes, there is the sensual, fun performance art of it that involves some taking off wardrobe and being sensually attractive. Yes, but a lot of my friends do their own costumes, and that's where I was really drawn to the actual art form.
It's almost like drag.
It is about drag. It's not as camp. It's not about the spectacle. It's more about you need to have things that will tell your funny story in a way that it can be dismantled artistically. Properly and well timed, so you can't just go to Amazon.com and order shit from
Fashion Nova.
No, I don't think there is a Lane Bryant store that does parts of your costume for that. So you really have to make it. And
I'm not laughing at the ridiculous. I'm just laughing because that was a good one. I'm sorry.
That's the thing. Like, I'm in a hobby that luckily is very mainstream, where even the most custom stuff that one would want to make is readily available if you have the money.
Right.
But I've just, that is the mentality. My thing is like, I just need to save enough money to buy this particular nut or bolt that will be plugged into this part of my cage that is on my camera to run it properly.
Right.
But I've never, like, if somebody tells like, you have to milk it yourself, like, nah, I'm out. I have no, that's the reason why I'm doing photography and not painting. My hands don't work the way that it wants it to work.
Right.
But that is, see, I did not know. I think I should practically assume it. Like it's so.
But why would you? Like from the outside perspective, you don't even see the puppeteer 90% of the time, unless it's a show like Avenue Q where it's featured, which is honestly a relatively new thing. That's really not the norm. The norm is if you're doing puppetry correctly, you believe that the puppet is a character. It's not even felt glue and wishes.
Felt glue and wishes.
Like Kermit is a frog. That's all you should be thinking.
He is, right? Why? What
exactly,
else could he be?
What else could he be?
He's just a talking frog.
He's a talking frog. Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Who sings and plays the banjo.
See, also the first interspecies relationship that I've known of.
God bless Miss Piggy, because she's put up with him for years and she's still with him.
Were they ever married?
If you follow the thinking behind Muppets in Manhattan, technically yes, because they had a real pastor do their wedding ceremony at the end of that movie.
I mean, they've been together for so long.
But that was a show within a show, so like, who knows what the meta analysis is on that.
In my brain,
they're married.
They're married. They're happily trying to make their interspecies babies.
Yeah.
But yeah, more power to them.
And probably had to adopt Robin, and they love him like he's their own son.
Okay, so this is going to be weird. We have plenty of people that could give advice for acting, and not necessarily I'm not saying that you don't have amazing advice for them, but you have this unique perspective in puppeteering. If there's this little John L out there wants to try to be to be a puppeteer performer or a puppeteer
Puppeteer.
What advice would you want to give them, both on a inspirational front, but also technical? Like, should they start doing
technical? Learn to sew.
Learn
to sew.
Fuck.
Seriously, start by making your own creatures. Going back to Kermit, I think Kermit was made from Jim Henson's mom's coat that was going to charity, and he cut up the original Kermit anyway.
Make your own creatures.
Make your own creatures. Make your own art. Make your own art, right? What did Carrie Fisher say? She said, take your broken heart and make it into art. And that's what you're doing with puppetry. It's from a tactile perspective.
I really wish I thought about that. That's a fucking amazing line.
Isn't it great?
Shit,
God bless Carrie.
Make your own. I'm doing the fingers crossed for the last Star Wars for a little bit, at least in December.
I am too.
It's gonna.
We'll see.
Or we'll see. I mean, I'm gonna watch it anyway.
That's the thing.
Disney owns my life. So
side note: all those fanboys were like, "How dare they ruin the franchise?" It's like, dude, you're still gonna go see it.
I know. I mean, you can voice out your opinions. That's very important, so that image makers. Ooh, look at that. Going back to the podcast, image makers will do better, or at least do their best. But again, I'm pretty sure Ryan Wilson and Disney, they didn't seek out to find like a divisive movie. They really pour their heart into it. It's just like sometimes mainstream people, it doesn't work, but make your own monsters.
Make your own monsters.
If you don't like the movie that you're watching, paying $18 for, make your own fucking movie.
Oh my God. And especially today where everybody has access to a camera. My God, if little Heather Gilbert had access to an iPhone, first of all, her mom probably wouldn't let her use it. But second of all, I would have been making my web series when I was like 13, probably, and it would have been beautifully edited and shot. And now you can do special effects like with inside of your phone. I mean, it would have blown my mind if you told me that, first of all, that your phone could be a camera. When did that happen?
Star Trek made it happen.
Right?
I was like, well, actually, Star Trek didn't have cameras on their fucking phone.
That's right. But they did have the iPad, at least in TNG. They had the iPad, and they had the flip phone in TOS. Sorry. Yeah.
Dude, so we are recording this over Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
Which I didn't know was a holiday. So I made the very bad mistake of miscalculating having to watch Discovery, Star Trek Discovery over my free trial week. Had I known, I would have started my free trial week on this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But I started it last week, and I fucking powered through season 1 and amazing show, amazing. Oh,
I mean, it's great, but I'm sorry that your time was so mismanaged.
I could have had the entire Monday in my pajamas watching. Oh, but you know what? Again,
taking it easy.
Still great content. Still great content. So, all right. So, make your own monsters.
Make your own monsters, and watch as many documentaries featuring Jim Henson and Frank Oz and other puppeteers from behind the scenes perspectives as possible. Johnny, who was my big mentor in puppetry specifically, that was his advice. He's like, just watch it, watch and watch and watch, and learn to lip sync, and follow your heroes from watching what they're doing, and then emulate it and make it your own. But again, we live in the 21st century. This is 2019. Most of the stuff is on YouTube. If not, you can go to Netflix. If Netflix doesn't have it on streaming, you can get the DVD. I know it's annoying, but you can do it. These are first world problems.
100% they're going to be on Amazon Studios or Prime
But
Video.
if it's something that you're passionate about, then my God, go to the library. Remember those? And
library what?
Libra who?
¿Dónde está la biblioteca? It's a library. Yeah.
I'm trying to know, where is it in Brooklyn? I have no idea.
There's one in Fort Hamilton, but there's the Park Slope one is pretty awesome.
Okay, I have subbed a class at the Brooklyn Adult Learning Center before as an ESL teacher, so I think that's anyway. Sidetrack. No, listen, if you're passionate about anything, like look up the greats and get obsessed, and don't be ashamed about being obsessed with your passions. Like that's the only way that you're going to learn and grow. And then when, I have to tell you, even though my success from a financial perspective isn't as great as I want it to be, like finances notwithstanding, I'm very lucky in that I'm able to say I not only met my heroes, I've worked with some of my heroes.
That's amazing. We all gauge success differently.
Right.
I mean, I'm the type of person that it's mostly monetary, of course, because I want to be able to provide for other people's dreams. Like I want to be able to, if I do have a partner in the future, I would want him or her, but probably most likely her, it's like her to be able to be free to pursue whatever that she wants.
Right.
I want my parents to be comfortable. I want my sister to be comfortable. And I don't have like 100% like, I'm not going to die if I can't photograph anymore. I love it. It's the only thing that kind of keeps me sane in this crazy, crazy city. But if they say like, all right, there's a ban on cameras forever, yeah, I'll fight it. But again, is my parents happy? Is my sister happy? Is my nephew's happy? I'll be okay with that. But we gauge success differently, and I've never worked with a hero, and that's something that might be soul calibrating if I do have that experience.
And you know what? Your heroes are usually giant nerds too.
Of course. They're people. They're just people.
They're just people.
There are a couple of like weirdos out there, but those are weird people. But again,
don't follow those people.
Yeah.
They're not worth it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
find the good people.
Yeah, and it's weird. Sometimes heroes aren't the biggest celebrities or the richest people. It's just the people that had the biggest impact in your life.
Right.
And they'd probably appreciate your admiration and your appreciation. So let them know. If you have a hero out there,
give them a shout out.
Give them a shout out. Go to their show. Make them fan art. Have them put it in the dressing room. And 15 years later,
because you just don't know. Just don't stalk them. Just don't stalk them. That's the line. Don't stalk people. Don't look for their home addresses. Like kids, please.
Well, tag them on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Maybe
that's the responsible way to stalk your heroes.
Don't maybe slide in their DMs respectfully.
No.
Just if they have their DMs unblocked or open, they're asking for it, right? But but do it responsibly. But all right. Oh, so Heather.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was we've learned a lot about acting, bit about puppetry.
Yeah.
But this is still like generally a photography podcast ish.
Absolutely.
one of the things that I ask our guests prior to coming over or speaking with me is to send their favorite image. Again, I try not to be highly specific about it. Just like send your favorite image. So, they can send a photo of themselves or an image of themselves, an image that they took, or generally an image that they like. So Heather sent me this very cool photo of herself. I'll let her describe it real quick, and then I'll describe it on my end technically as well, and then we can discuss why this is her favorite image. So I'm gonna spin for the YouTube viewers out there. I'm gonna spin my iPad around to just like give her like a little bit of like, all right, this is okay. Tell me about said image. Who is it by too, so that once this episode comes out, I can tag him or her.
Jeffrey Liu-Leyco.
Sup, Jeffrey?
And I wish I could take credit for this joke, but I can't. I call this image, I have a headache and a toothache. That's essentially the pose that I'm giving. However, I love my eyes in it, and it was a super fun shoot.
Okay.
Oh, bringing it back to the title. I did that thing. Mm-hmm. They're not all winners. It's fine. But Jeffrey specifically, this is super random, and this is kind of just the magic of New York. Jeffrey was my kindergarten boyfriend. And
history.
Super history. And he lived in Orlando until about the first or second grade, I want to say. And then his dad got a job in New York and they moved up here. And through the magic of Facebook, we found each other in our 20s after college. And Jeffrey is a great photographer, a hobbyist, but like I think very similar to you, honestly, because he has like a responsible corporate job and his passion is photography. And I was just like, Jeffrey, why don't we take pictures? And he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, film noir. Film noir. And he was like, oh, I really want to do that too.
Hence the beret.
I also, around that time, I'd got on a big binge watching of Val Lewton films. Val Lewton was I
was gonna pretend that I knew him or her, but I was like,
I won't do that to you. That's okay. Val Lewton was.
I know Val Lewton. That's an ice cream shop in the Lower East Side, right? No, it's not. It's
not. I'm sorry. He was a producer of B films, predominantly psychological thrillers. And the way that he worked his budget very specifically, although I don't think he ever actually directed, but he had a very heavy hand in like script shaping and choosing the directors. He's very well known in the film world for his shadow work. If you want to check out some of his films, I highly recommend Cat People. And I know that sounds like a stupid title, but trust me, the movie is like...
Cat? You got me at Cat.
That's true. I forgot what I was saying. I was talking to Whiskey's dad. Yeah. But it's this incredible psychological thriller about a woman who may or may not be turning into a cat. And that sounds like something for MST3K, but it's not at all.
I wish I'd be turning into a cat. People would pet me more.
It's really cool. And there's this great scene with a bus stop, and that's all I'm going to say because you should go see it yourself.
Cat People.
But that was kind of the vibe I was going for. And I think I hit it specifically in that picture. I was like, I look like I'm in a Val Lewton movie, giving you Betty Davis realness. And I think the reason that I really like this photo is, one, it's very dramatic. And I think a lot of people associate me with being a very bubbly, I'm the Disney princess from Orlando, which is fine. I don't care. But this is kind of a different side of me. At the same time, though, I think it's so over dramatic that it really lends itself to camp.
Got it.
And I've definitely used it in my Instagram stories a few times to be like, oh no, I forgot to take a picture of my food. Or, oh shit, it's Monday. Or, crap, I forgot to call my mom on Mother's Day. And I just feel like that particular image is so flexible for my personal kind of humor in that way. So yeah, that's why I like it.
For the people watching on YouTube, it would have splashed a few times already, but yeah, technically it's a black and white photo, portrait style.
Which arm is it? I could try to read.
Yeah, the right hand is by the right head / temple. The left hand is by the molar area. very expressive eyes. That's why it's like, I really dug how expressive it is.
Yeah.
It is kind of campy, kind of, but yeah, you're right. It's a film noir kind of thing. Classic movie style black and white photo with the beret, with a decent black blouse, with a ribbon on top. So yeah, it's technically framed, there are some angles in it. The triangles that are built by the arms framing the face is kind of drawing the attention towards the actual face of the subject, despite it being slightly towards center. So technically, good job, Jeffrey. I dig it. So I like hearing people's stories about their favorite images because, sometimes, yes, it's technical. It is very usable in other things. And you mentioned you've used it different times in your Instagram stories. So it has a good story. It serves a function. I'm assuming that you feel that you look beautiful in this because you are. Yeah. And that's usually the most important thing is, I have so many very attractive friends, and whenever they send, it's like, oh, I don't like this, I was like, homie, you're one of the prettiest people that I know, and you're complaining about this little wrinkle. But again, doesn't matter what other people's criteria, it's you. If you don't feel comfortable, you're not comfortable.
Right.
And if other people think that it's ugly, but you feel amazing in it, fucking post that shit. That's how we want to live our lives, because it's about the communication of your message. It's also better if you're like, hey, I feel good in this photo because X, Y, and Z. And I like it. It's like, it's a great story with a photographer.
And the one thing I do want to say just quickly, I think the other reason that I like it, besides the composition and besides that, like, I felt like we really hit the target we were going for. At the end of the day, it was like, oh my God, me and Jeffrey are like playing dress up in kindergarten again.
That's the thing. And that's more and more. I mean, we've done 7 of these episodes now. I've talked to dozens of more friends about the things, their favorite shoots or their favorite images, if they were involved in it. Most of it is the experience. Like, it's one thing that, they captured it well. But the other thing is like, oh, dude's not a creep. It was a fun shoot. We ate well, or we hung out after, before. It's always those things. So I always want to put a little additional emphasis on the fact that as a photographer, or as an art director, if you're fielding a shoot, producing a shoot, or whatnot, yes, you need people that are technically sound, paramount, because in the end, it's still the product. Sometimes, if the experience is crappy, doesn't matter if you got the goal that you wanted to set on. But it is also important to make sure that we are all in this artistic endeavor together, make it an amazing, as best an experience for the person as well as the subject. Exactly. So just make it fun for everybody. So if photographers out there, reach out to your friends, connect, use it as an ability to, maybe your kindergarten ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend is in your town.
You never know.
You'll never know, right? Rekindle those that fire that you had when you were in preschool.
Jeffrey's very happily married to Mimi, and I approve, so it's okay.
So, but again, but you can make friends again. Yeah. So thank you for sharing this image.
Of course.
And you might have noticed this already, having been having listened to a couple of other episodes, but what I don't tell the people that I speak to on the podcast is when they send their favorite image, I also stalk their social media presence or whatever profile that they have, and I pick my favorite image of them.
Oh my goodness.
And, Heather doesn't know this, but
I don't know what his version of my favorite photo
for this particular experience is like, I think it's a little bit on brand, but I tried to be as, also technical as I could, because again, this is still a photography podcast. So I'm going to spin my iPad around to show Heather my favorite image of her.
I can't wait.
But for those people watching, hello over there. It's going to splash on your screen right about now. She can tell me about it.
Oh.
See, that's the reaction. So see, that means I picked correctly.
All right. That's from the same shoot.
Oh, so Jeffrey.
Yeah, that's Jeffrey again.
Shout out Jeffrey.
And that's Jeffrey's cat.
Jeffrey's cat.
Earl.
I know Earl. Dope. So this is good because when I do the episode description, it's gonna be just one link to Jeffrey shit.
Pretty much.
But also, so tell quickly, like in a minute, just describe this photo for those audio listeners, and I'll describe it on my words.
So
too.
this was the very end of the shoot, and Earl walked in as Earl did, and I'm just like, oh, Jeffrey.
Earl the cat.
Yep. And
tuxedo cat.
So pretty, right? And those eyes. And I'm like, Jeffrey, can I get a picture with Earl? He's like, yes. I'm actually wearing like a throw-on jersey dress. And what I realized, not in this picture, but there's another picture in this set, I had actually put it on backwards. So I kind of, or like inside out, not backwards, but yeah, like you can see the seaming because it was like the end of the shoot and it was a long day. It was a fun day, but I think I had just started to take off my makeup on my face, but I left my eyes on. And I remember this particular moment specifically because I was like, Jeffrey, have you ever seen, I think it's Bell Book and Candle with Kim Novak? And he's like, no. And I'm like, Google it. And I think it's the poster or
Bell
promo.
Book and Candle, that's a bar in the West Village. I might go there next week.
It might be, yeah. It was a movie with Kim Novak and Jimmy Stewart, and they did it after Vertigo. So they actually, and it was a romantic comedy, so no one dies.
Oh, not a Hitchcock?
No. It's like it's not even like that great of a movie, but I remember the poster for it because she is a witch and she has a cat.
Dope.
And she uses the cat to like hypnotize Jimmy Stewart, and that was, I think, the poster shot for it. And I'm just like, let's do this thing. And I think I pulled, like a millennial, pulled it up on my phone. I'm like, can we do this? He's like, it's up to Earl.
You are not the boss of this
shoot. I am not the boss of the shoot.
The cat will always be.
And it's like, it's true. So I'm like, Earl, look at the camera. Eee! And that's how that happened. That's the same hat in the other picture 100%.
Too. Well, I mean, the other picture, the background's a little darker, right, so you can't really see the
I don't
beret.
think you can see the bow part either.
Oh, yeah, there is apparently a bow. So for the audio podcast listeners, it is a photo of, it's a half-body portrait of Heather carrying a tuxedo cat in front of her, like kind of covering her face. Both of them are staring directly at the camera. And that's the cool part.
Which is just pure alchemy because it's a cat. You can't train a cat to do that
But also you're a photographer, I'm assuming this is digital. Fucking shoot a ton of shots. Right. They'll look at the camera at some point.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, but it's, white background, black and white shot, Heather in a black dress-ish thing with her hat, bonnet, beret with a bow, holding Earl in front of her, both of them looking dead on the camera. It speaks to me as like, I know animals as subjects are very hard to manage in shoots.
Oh, are they ever? Yep.
Cats are very temperamental, except for Whiskey. Whiskey loves everybody.
Whiskey's the best.
So she.
Wait! Don't tell Earl that.
So this was a very fun, technically very very sound shot, but also something that is, it speaks to artistry. Black and white, little drama in there. Speaks to, very expressive eyes. You're selling it very, very well. But also, like, the cat also has that pose.
And I think the tuxedo, it's not pairing. The tuxedo pattern that the cat has also really, like, highlights the contrast.
Perfect. It's just like
perfect.
I was like, the cool part about it is like, your eyes and Earl's eyes are basically parallel to each other. So usually that's harder to shoot. I mean, if you didn't spend the whole day trying to just get the shot and it just came about, it means that it's a lot more natural, a lot more fun for everybody. So for those people, click your podcast episode description to see both shots of Jeffrey, of Heather, and of Earl the cat.
Yeah.
Give
Jeffrey some love. Shout out.
Like,
he's a good
subscribe. I'll steal his Instagram handle and put it on there. Make sure that we blast him on out there. But great job, Jeffrey. Great job, Heather. Thank you for sharing these shots. I'm very happy that I have very, very good taste because it's also within the same photographer, same shoot. No. So, I mean, I always like that portion of the podcast because, I try to do a lot of things with this platform. Learn great stories, share great stories, but also, personally for me, we always have to get better in our craft. And I don't have enough time in a day to be able to really work on everything that I'm working on. So any way that I can make it more efficient to learn how to engage with subjects more and how to produce an output on a platform that is shareable, both as something functional, like if you need a poster for your show, if you need a headshot for your audition, but also just, you know, as an art form, being like, you know, we're putting people's spirits on binary and sharing it over the interweb. So, you know, we want to not be part of the clutter. We want to make sure that it is something that everybody can look at and feel good for whatever reason that make them feel good. I really don't care. As long as you feel good, I'm really, really happy.
Right.
So, you know, thank you for sharing those shows.
Oh, of course.
And we are nearing the end of the podcast.
My goodness.
Unfortunately.
It's okay. This was lovely. Thank you for
before
having
we
me.
end though, I know that you do have a very cool, harking back to that nerdy project.
Oh yes.
Nerdy part of your personality there is, you know, in a few sentences, tell me about this gaming project that you're part of.
So, my parents, who I love and adore, did not let me have video games as a kid.
Shout out Ed and Connie.
Ed and Connie.
Yeah, see, my brain works.
Look at that. That was impressive. And I never have played a video game by myself until last year. And I did play a little bit in college at like those parties where people just get wasted and it's like who can play
Mario Kart or something.
No, Freebird on Guitar Hero. It's just the dumbest thing ever. I'm sorry. It's just not, you know what? I shouldn't say that. It's just not my thing.
I am saving money so I can buy a rock band set for my apartment so I can bring my friends and we can do more active I call it active karaoke.
There you go.
Because somebody will be singing, somebody will be pretending to play the guitar, and somebody will be pretending to play the drums.
Absolutely. But from my personal experience, like that's kind of it. One of my exes played a few video games and I played it with him. But I never played by myself. And I was just like, you know, I'd like to do something that is a little bit scary for me. And I know it sounds weird that like a grown-up woman is scared of a video game, but I'm sure the viewers can see this and maybe the listeners can hear this. I'm a highly sensitive person, like to the point where I can't see movies in 3D because it's like a sensory overload thing for me. And the first-person perspective on video games is something that had to take time. It is.
Yeah, it's dizzying.
It is. And with Portal specifically, when you're bending time and space and going 100%. Through holes, it took a while to get used to. But I chose Portal 2 specifically because, as previously mentioned, I really like Stephen Merchant. And I also loved that it was a first-person perspective from a female protagonist, and it's a female antagonist, and there's no romance involved. I mean, you can argue Kate and Caroline, but it's a puzzle game. Yeah. And it's compelling, and it has a great backstory, and there's lots of detail. And I'll give a shout out. My friend Bo, who's also an incredible artist, we were kind of chit-chatting back and forth, and I'm like, you know, I'd really like to play a video game, but on my artist budget, I don't have time or money to get like a PS3 and controllers and all that. And he goes, I think Portal 2 you can play on your Mac. And that's when I
went, good choice. I was when you sent me that, I was like, I played this when I was in high school.
Yeah, and it came out when I think I was in college, and I missed it completely. I knew it was happening because of my.
I never finished. I finished Portal 1. I never finished Portal 2 because I'm done with puzzles. Like I'm spending so many hours on a video game. I want to feel like you want to feel that superhero complex. You're just like shooting things in the face.
I get it.
But this is one of those things that you really need to think.
Yep.
And during that time, there wasn't a lot of video games that had a female protagonist.
Right.
So it's kind of like groundbreaking. But it's not only groundbreaking. That's why I support the video gaming industry a whole lot. Generally, the any geekdom, nerddom is amazing because it makes you think, it teaches you, it makes you learn, but it needs to be in a package where it needs to be entertaining, because if it's not fun,
who's gonna play
it?
Yeah. So I initially started filming it kind of as a joke on my Insta story of like, oh my God, look at me, I'm finally playing a video game. And the response I got, albeit from my family and friends, but even so, it was astronomical. I was like, oh my Lord, really? You guys never come to see my dippy little showcases, but me playing Portal 2 is suddenly like must-see viewing. And then I was like, well, what if I made this into a web series and actually like put some time and effort into it? So Gilbert Got a Game is a work in progress. It's currently in the beta phase. It does have its separate Instagram. It's private right now just because I'm still working on the editing. And when it officially becomes public, it's going to be wildly entertaining, I hope. And if not, then I had a great time and my friends and family laughed.
That's that's the thing with, building your own channels or building your own platform. Do it for yourself first, because again, you're spending a lot of time and energy doing certain things. If you're doing it for the wrong purpose of, I want 100,000 followers.
I'm not doing it for any money or ad revenue or anything like that. I think I mentioned MST3K before, which has puppets and invented commentary. Like, this is just kind of my version of that, playing this video game, vocally interacting. Sometimes I cut to me, but not very often. And it's fun, man. It's a blast. And I'm learning so much about the editing process. And
that's the thing. Yeah.
Which is incredible in and of itself. That's a skill set I can do whenever I want.
Same thing with this particular podcast. Like, I'm learning how to poorly edit videos.
No.
I'm learning high quality audio.
This one might need some editing. I know I rambled. I'm sorry.
There's no editing with the content. That's the thing, because you want stories to be as pure as possible. But like, I'm learning a lot of things and learning how to process, learning how to speak. Speaking sucks.
Can
I just like touch people? That's like just like go to their
with their
face
consent.
like that. With their consent, of course. That'll be more fun. But we will be
tactile interaction. I understand.
We will be looking forward to Gilbert Does Games.
Gilbert Got a Game.
Gilbert Got a Game.
Because English alliteration. GGG. And the goal. You know what? No, I'm going to set the date right now. I'm going to set it right now. July 31st will be the first public view date of Gilbert Got a Game.
Perfect. That'll be a couple of weeks after this episode. So hopefully we can drive a little bit of traffic there, so we can let them know about you and let them know about your project.
And that'll be my birthday present to myself. And I think that's also Harry Potter's birthday.
Really? So. July 31st? No, or July 4th?
My birthday's July 4th, but I think Harry's birthday is July 31st.
Oh, we'll check that out.
Yeah.
Well,
don't at me if I'm wrong, please. I'm sorry.
No, we're off the dome. The conversation here is off the dome.
I'm a Hufflepuff.
Me too. What's up? Honey Badger, bro. Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care. Honey Badger don't give a fuck.
They're the best. They're entertaining. Well, lemurs are entertaining.
But honey badgers eat snakes, which is how a Hufflepuff can beat a Slytherin.
Eater. Dope. We're getting too much into the nerd. But Heather, thank you so much for all of your time. We ran longer than I thought that we could ever run.
Sorry.
This is actually great, because this is proof that you don't need to just interact with people in the most respectful way that you can. Be open to learning and be open to sharing, and you'll have an amazing time. Because like, I am having a great time. I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your craft. I'm looking forward to making sure that this comes out in a cool way and people are driven to your story and your craft.
Thank you.
Help me out with that. Just tell people where people can stalk you.
The best place to stalk me is my Instagram, which is at heather.gilbert_, because somebody already took my name.
It's a very common name.
It is. I recognize that, but it is the only one in both unions, and thank you very much. I'm also on Twitter. I have to be honest,
it's Heather Gilbert _.
It's also an underscore, because it's probably that same person.
Yeah.
Like, girl, why are you taking my name? I'm not on Twitter as much. If you do contact me, I will see a notification there, but it's dark and scary, and that's where Donald Trump lives, so I try to avoid it for my mental sanity. And yeah, those are probably the best ways. I do have a website. It is a Weebly website. I'm sorry. When I make my Broadway debut, I will get rid of the Weebly part. That's a promise.
But follow her on Instagram and click on all those links on her bio, so you can share all her stuff.
If you really want to help me get parts, this is so stupid, but visit my IMDb link, because then the star rating goes up.
Dope.
And I know that's like a really crass thing to say, but honestly, that's in this industry, that's what gets attention from casting directors and
it's
other
a new
such
world
people.
out there. Algorithms rule. And while we are trying to refine the way that algorithms work, we have to play by the rules a little bit.
We do.
So,
and if you want to see what I'm best known for, which we actually didn't talk about, so I'm kind of surprised about that, is I was in the fifth quill to two franchises, Lave Placid versus Anaconda.
Wait, I said that was you. That was the critically acclaimed SyFy original classic. Lave Placid versus Anaconda.
The reason I bring it up is please actually buy the DVD because I'd like to buy my parents Christmas presents this year.
I will have to watch that.
It's definitely it is a creature feature made by SyFy. Take that as you will. For me, it was the best summer vacation of my life. For everybody else, there's beer to enjoy it. It's fun. I loved it.
Well, thank you again, Heather, for your time and your energy. And thank you, the listener and the viewer.
And you.
Yeah. Thank you for being with us because, this is something that is near and dear to me. I don't put a lot of stock into it. It's just that there are amazing people out there that we need to be connected with in whatever way possible. So, please, this is the Fun Shoot podcast, and we will have new episode most Wednesdays, and it'll be out on all your favorite podcasting applications. So just Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. Just search Fun Shoot podcast. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a star rating, leave us a review, and help us make a little bit more content for the future, and then possibly give parting gifts for my future guests. Again, you can visit.
Thank you for the water, by the way.
100%. You know what? I had a straw.
It did, and it's pink. It kind of goes with my ensemble.
I kind of guessed that, but I'm glad it worked out. But visit the podcast website, jongclemente.com/funshoot. If that is too long, just go bit.ly/funshoot. And you can watch most of these episodes on YouTube, jongclemente.com/funshoot.tv or bit.ly/funshoot.tv. I try to make it easy for you. So if you can watch it, if you don't want to listen to us and you just want to see our gorgeous bodies, you can do that.
So pretty.
And you can follow and comment on the podcast Twitter and Instagram accounts. It's at Funshoot Podcast. So I check it, and I'm on my phone all the time. So if you have something that's nice to say there, please just drop it in. We'll try to work it on the show at some point. And again, we also encourage people to participate. So you can email us topics and questions and comments at funshootpodcast@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at 347-934-9594. If the voicemail is appropriate, we'll put it on the show. We'll bring in if you have a question to our previous guests, we'll bring them back in, make sure it's answered properly.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to answer and talk
100%.
and talk and talk.
Yeah. If it's inappropriate, it's just going to be me in my bedroom. So please be aware of that. Again, thank you very much. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, listener. And we'll see you next Wednesday for a fresh new pod on the Fun Shoot Podcast. Bye.
Peace.